What is going on, guys? We are live on YouTube. Kylo is here already. I see the professor and Justin in the chat. It's Thursday night, week 16 of the NFL season. A pivotal week if you are still alive in fantasy football. And man, has it been a tough fantasy football playoffs between the COVID list, between the injuries. If you're alive, we got to finish strong. You're 1 or 2 wins away from a championship if you're still in the fantasy football playoffs. Even if you're not still in the fantasy football playoffs, a lot to be interested in tonight. The Tennessee Titans up against the San Francisco 49ers. The Titans are home dogs in this game. 3.5-point underdogs. What's going on, guys, in the chat? Got to get to all the questions that I can. But I think this is going to be the biggest question of the night, honestly, Julian. We're live on TikTok and YouTube, by the way. We're live on TikTok and YouTube right now, by the way. Link to the YouTube live is in the TikTok bio, where you can see my top 10 rankings, as usual, on the Thursday live for every position. But the biggest question of the night is, do you start A.J. Brown? Do you start A.J. Brown tonight? And it's going to come down to how much risk are you willing to take, because the ceiling is high for A.J. Brown. The bottom line is the ceiling is high for A.J. Brown. The floor is obviously low. Like, we do not know how much A.J. Brown's going to be able to play tonight. But it's a good matchup for A.J. Brown. The 49ers secondary is not that scary. They're not that scary. They've been a bottom 10 secondary adjusted for strength of opponent this season. We've seen receivers do well against them recently. We've seen receivers do well against them very recently. Russell Gage went for 91 yards and a TD last week. The week before that, we saw Jamar Chase score 2 touchdowns. T. Higgins went over 100 yards. The week before that, Russell Wilson threw a couple TDs. The week before that, Kirk Cousins threw a couple TDs against the 49ers. The 49ers secondary is the weakness of the team. So in a lot of situations, I'm playing A.J. Brown. I am. But he's obviously risky. We just don't know how much he's going to play. We don't know how much he's going to play. And honestly, the guy that I've seen the most come up and start sit questions, again, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. Come to the YouTube live. Link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 rankings, every single position. But the guy that I'm seeing most frequently in comments so far this week on my videos in live right now on TikTok and YouTube, see if I can pull something up on the YouTube live, see if anyone's asked about this. It's about Amon-Ra St. Brown. It's about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because Amon-Ra St. Brown's been balling. He's been balling out. He's had 3 straight games with at least 12 points. He's had over 20 points in 2 of his last 3. He's seeing consistent targets. The Lions are up against the Falcons this week too, which is a good matchup for Amon-Ra St. Brown. It is. So I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is definitely startable this week. He's absolutely startable. He's seen at least 11 targets in 3 straight games now. He's gone over 23 points 2 of his last 3 games, over 15 points 3 straight games, and he's up against the Falcons. The Falcons have an even worse secondary than the 49ers. I don't think he's a lock. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say Amon-Ra St. Brown's a lock, but yeah, I think he's safer than A.J. Brown. I do. I think he's safer than A.J. Brown. A lot of Jeff Wilson questions in the chat as well, and this was also expected. We got a YouTube comment asking James Robinson or Jeff Wilson. I'm definitely playing James Robinson over Jeff Wilson. This is not a good matchup for Jeff Wilson. This is not a good matchup for the 49ers rushing attack. This is why this game is going to be pretty interesting, because the 49ers want to run the ball, but the Tennessee Titans have been the best run defense in the league this season. If you adjust for strength of opponent, they're actually the second best after the Saints. But no team has allowed less points to running backs this season than the Titans. And then you add in the fact that Deebo Samuel is probably going to steal a minimum of 6 carries from Jeff Wilson, and potentially the valuable ones, potentially the ones inside the 10-yard line are going to be Deebo Samuel. This Titans defense held Najee Harris to 18 yards last week, 18 rushing yards. He had 12 carries, 18 yards. Walter was all over the under, by the way. He doesn't take very many unders. That's the artificially intelligent algorithm that powers the WalterPicks app that gives us exploitable prop picks every single week. And one of them was last week was Najee Harris up against the Titans. He didn't even go over 20 rushing yards. His over-under was like 70 or something. Yeah, I don't like Jeff Wilson today. I don't. I'm nervous about Jeff Wilson today. I think if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's probably going under 8 fantasy points. He's coming off a good game. He is. He's coming off a good game. Elijah Mitchell's out again. He went over 100 yards last week. I think he had over 20 carries last week. But I'm just not feeling good about him against this defense. The Titans defense is one of these defenses, man. We talk about a lot of these defenses, just like the Saints, just like the Buccaneers. They are a pass funnel defense. Their run defense is significantly better than their pass defense. That's why I like Deebo Samuel a lot tonight. I don't love Jeff Wilson tonight. I'm nervous about Jeff Wilson tonight. Do I start AB? Yeah, you start AB. What about A.J. Brown? Yeah, I see some people in the YouTube live, in the TikTok live, asking about A.J. Brown. William Schaefer's wondering A.J. Brown or Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I bet you when you drafted A.J. Brown, you were not expecting to be thinking about Amon-Ra St. Brown over him in either the semifinals or the finals of your fantasy football league. For most people, probably the semifinals. I would argue Amon-Ra St. Brown's significantly safer. He's a significantly safer option. His floor is better. Amon-Ra St. Brown's gone over 15 points in each of the last 3 weeks, and he has a better matchup too. He gets the Falcons this week. They're an even better matchup than the 49ers. And again, the 49ers are a good matchup. They've been a bottom 10 secondary adjusted for strength of opponent, which means A.J. Brown's ceiling is high. I would argue A.J. Brown's ceiling is significantly higher than Amon-Ra St. Brown's, but I would probably play Amon-Ra St. Brown because I think he's much safer. Like A.J. Brown's floor is really low. It's low. He's obviously at risk of re-injury, but even if he doesn't get re-injured, we don't know how much he's going to play. If he plays his normal amount, then you're going to want to have played A.J. Brown. But I would personally play Amon-Ra St. Brown over A.J. Brown. But if you're shooting for the ceiling, then you play A.J. Brown. That's just the bottom line. We got another A.J. Brown question here. Talking about A.J. Brown, Austin Eckler, James, or Antonio Brown. Who's James? Which James are we talking about here? Definitely I'm playing Austin Eckler or Antonio Brown this week, though. You can't bench Austin Eckler. I only pull my top 10 running backs. You got to play Austin Eckler. He's on the COVID list now, though. Austin Eckler's on the COVID list. So I guess you can't play Austin Eckler. That happened today, I think. But go add Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson's going to win fantasy leagues this week. So don't expect to play Austin Eckler this week. Go add Justin Jackson. I actually saw a video of Austin Eckler today saying himself you should go add Justin Jackson in your fantasy league because he's on the COVID list. So, yeah, don't start Austin Eckler. Definitely start Antonio Brown, though. Like, the bottom line with Antonio Brown, regardless of what you think about him, he has to be started. He has to be started this week. I mean, there's no way around that. Foreman or Gaskin? Yeah, so let's talk about D'Onta Foreman for a second now. So he's clearly the top running back for the Titans. He doesn't have the whole backfield to himself. He will lose carries and targets to Jeremy McNichols and to Dontrell Hilliard in this game. He will. But he is a clear back, the clear lead back. But this isn't a great matchup for him. The 49ers' run defense has been good. The Titans are also underdogs in this game. 3.5-point underdogs in this game. I'll get to who I think is going to win this game in just a few minutes. But the 49ers have themselves been pretty good against running backs. They absolutely dominated Cordarrelle Patterson last week. It was arguably Cordarrelle Patterson's worst game of the season, who, by the way, absolute snub for the Pro Bowl. I cannot believe Cordarrelle Patterson didn't make the Pro Bowl. But Cordarrelle Patterson, 11 carries, 18 yards last week. 2 catches, 5 yards. He had under 25 total yards. 13 touches, under 25 total yards. The week before that, they stuffed Joe Mixon. 58 total yards or 58 total rushing yards. 68 total yards on 20 touches, no touchdowns. The week before that, they dominated the Seahawks. And the week before that, they dominated Dalvin Cook. The 49ers run defense is scary, and then on top of that, the Titans are without their number 1 left tackle and their number 2 left tackle tonight. So they're down to their number 3 left tackle, which is also not good for D'Onta Foreman. So I honestly think both D'Onta Foreman and Jeff Wilson traps tonight. Like, if they score a touchdown, they'll probably be a top 20 running back this week. But if they don't, they're probably going under 8 fantasy points. That's my prediction. And I don't feel great about either of them to score a touchdown tonight. So I wouldn't start them in a lot of situations. Deontay Foreman played 40% of the snaps last week for the Titans, but he saw 22 carries. In a game that the Titans somehow lost. I still don't understand how the Titans lost that game. They were one of my locks of the week. My other lock of the week, the Bengals ended up winning. They were underdogs in that game. And the Titans, I think they allowed like 130 yards or something to the Steelers. It was not a lot of yards. 148 passing yards they allowed. I think it was like 170 total yards, and they lost 19-13. But I think that also goes to show how good the Titans' defense is. And I do think the 49ers rushing attack could have some problems tonight. A.J. Brown and Ayuka the Bazooka. Yeah, you got to start Ayuka the Bazooka tonight. You got to ride with Ayuka the Bazooka. Guys, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. And on the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. You got my top 10 rankings every single position. Look, I shouldn't see any Saquon Barkley questions in the chat because you just see my top 10 rankings on the YouTube live, and you see Saquon Barkley has to be started. He's my number 9 overall running back this week. I'll pull up the tight ends. You'll see my number 1 tight end is playing tonight. That's George Kittle, man. Travis Kelce on the COVID list. Hope you don't have Travis Kelce in the fantasy playoffs. If you do, probably go add CJ Uzoma. He's probably the number 1 ad. I wouldn't add Travis Kelce's backup. But Darren Waller is also looking unlikely to play this week. So George Kittle, the number 1 tight end. And George Kittle's been balling. And yeah, obviously we're all starting George Kittle tonight. But he's my number 1 tight end going into this week. Jeff Wilson thoughts. Yeah, I think Jeff Wilson's a trap. I think Jeff Wilson's a trap tonight. I think Jeff Wilson and Deontay Foreman are probably both traps. If you are watching live on YouTube, guys, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And also, I see a lot of start-sit questions in the chat. I will try to answer as many questions as I can on this live, as we are getting excited for some Thursday night football in this crucial but absolutely wild Week 16. I built an app that can help you with your start-sit decisions. Check it out. Link is in the TikTok bio. Link is in the YouTube description. It's completely free right now. We're giving everyone basically completely free, unlimited start-sit comparisons. And the app uses machine learning to give us the best projections and boom and bust probabilities for every player. So you're getting a ceiling and a floor outcome for every player too. Completely free to download, completely free to try out. If you end up subscribing to the app, you get a completely free 7-day trial as well. But really, the start-sit tool is free right now. So check it out. Then come back if you're still wondering who you should start. Just liked pick 2, Justin Jackson, A.J. Brown, Brandon Cooks. So Cooks is out. I think Brandon Cooks landed on the COVID list too, so he's out. Zeke, Ayuka the Bazooka, or Big Mike. Honestly, I think Justin Jackson has to be started out of this group now. I think you have to start Justin Jackson. After that, I think it's close. I wouldn't start A.J. Brown if you have Zeke, Ayuk, and Big Mike. Honestly, I think A.J. Brown's riskier than all 3 of those guys. With Tony Pollard back, I don't think Zeke can be trusted that much either. Honestly, I think I'd go with Ayuk the Bazooka, who I think will have a good game tonight. Will A.J. Brown have a big game? If A.J. Brown plays, he's going to have a big game. And when I mean plays his normal amount. Like if A.J. Brown has a 70% snap share tonight, he's going off. Kylo, this is not the right mentality, man. This is not the right mentality. In the YouTube live, Kylo saying, I think I'm going to quit fantasy because he came in last in his first season. But Kylo, you're going about this the wrong way, man. You can only go up from here. You got nothing to lose. You can only go up from here. So you got to keep playing. I promise you, things will get better. And in next season, Kylo, you're going to use the WalterPicks app, and in your draft, you're just going to absolutely dominate. And hopefully next season there won't be as much COVID as well. That just changes the whole season. Who are your must-plays for tonight's game? Yeah, so let me run through my must-plays. Obviously, you have to play George Kittle. You absolutely have to play George Kittle, and you have to play Deebo Samuel too. Deebo Samuel, George Kittle absolutely have to be played. The guy that's next in my must-plays would be Ayuka the Bazooka. I think you kind of have to play Brandon Ayuk too. The Titans secondary has not been good this season. They ranked bottom 5 when you adjust for strength of opponent. They've been a little bit better the last month. But their run defense is so good. It really is a pass funnel defense. I think you have to play Ayuka the Bazooka, Deebo Samuel, and George Kittle. For the Titans, I don't think anyone's a must-play. I don't think a single Titans offensive player is a must-play. The guy that I would be starting the most on the Titans offense is A.J. Brown. And I don't think he's a must-play. I think he's risky. We don't know how much he's going to play. A.J. Brown or Marquise Brown. Yeah, I saw this one in a comment earlier today. It's got to be A.J. Brown over Marquise Brown. Has to be. Hollywood Brown's just as risky as A.J. Brown with a lower ceiling. Like, Tyler Huntley's probably starting for the Ravens again, and that's not good for Hollywood Brown. Is Chris Berman the GOAT? I don't know about that. A.J. Brown, Ayuk, or Russell Gage. Yeah, I like Ayuk more than A.J. Brown. I do. I think he's safer. Russell Gage, I don't think I'd play Russell Gage over A.J. Brown. Oh, I don't think I'd play Russell Gage over Ayuk at the bazooka. I think I'd probably play Russell Gage over A.J. Brown, though, too. Is it time to bench Jamar? No. No, it's not. It's not the time. The last time Jamar Chase played against the Ravens, he went over 30 points. So, Craig Reynolds, oh my God. I was trashing on Craig Reynolds throughout the Sunday morning live. By the way, if you haven't been tuning into the Sunday morning live streams, I'm live every single Sunday morning, basically for the 3 hours before football on YouTube and TikTok. So make sure you hit that follow button on TikTok and that subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching right now. It seriously helps me out a ton. But Craig Reynolds, I was saying pretty confidently on Sunday morning live, I thought Craig Reynolds already had his best game of his career, and he followed it up with an even better game. But guys, I still think Craig Reynolds is kind of toast at this point. DeAndre Swift and Jamal Williams returned to practice this week, so we may never hear the name Craig Reynolds again. I hope he keeps proving me wrong, honestly. But yeah, he's irrelevant now in fantasy. He had 117 yards last week. You think Hunter Henry is a good start? Yeah, he is. Sorry, I pulled this one up before. A.J. Brown or Antonio Brown? Guys, you cannot bench Antonio Brown. You can't bench him. Mike Evans is questionable, but really he's leaning towards doubtful at the moment. That's Mike Evans. Chris Godwin out. Antonio Brown is back and apparently fully healthy. So whatever you think about Antonio Brown, faking a vax card, I mean, absolutely insane stuff. Like you just got to start. You have to start Antonio Brown. There's no way around it. There's just no way around it. You need to be starting Antonio Brown. You got to start Antonio Brown. I'm sorry. You got to start him over A.J. Brown. I do think A.J. Brown has a high ceiling tonight, but the floor is low. The floor is low. Yo, Sam, Thursday Night Football question. I managed to roster Jeff Wilson, Justin Jackson, and Alexander Madison. How do you feel about these guys at flex compared to Amari Cooper, DK, Mike Williams, and Ayuk the Bazooka? And which wide receiver list did you like the most? Thanks for tuning in, Jacob. I appreciate it, man. And yeah, you kind of have to start Alexander Madison. Like, you have to start him. I think I have him in my top 10 running backs. Let me pull those back up again. Yeah, he's number 8. Alexander Madison is my number 8. He's my number 8 running back. I have him ahead of Saquon Barkley and Aaron Jones. You got to start Madison. And honestly, I feel similarly about Justin Jackson, but not quite as strong. I like them both a lot more than Jeff Wilson, though. This is a tough matchup for Jeff Wilson. And Deebo Samuel could easily end up stealing the valuable targets and the valuable goal line red zone carries. So I would be starting Justin Jackson and Madison over Amari Cooper, who is really tough to trust right now. Over DK Metcalf, who's also really tough to trust right now. Over Mike Williams, who's also tough to trust. Ayuk the Bazooka is closer. I think I like Ayuk the Bazooka the most. While I don't think he has the highest ceiling of the group, I think he's the safest option. He's had at least 35 yards in basically every single game over the last couple of months. Jeff Wilson or Justin Jackson? Yeah, that has to be Justin Jackson. Has to be Justin Jackson. Justin Jackson's going to see at least 60% of the backfield for the Chargers, but he's going to be the guy getting the targets. And we know they throw to the running back a ton. This is the question of the night, Edgar. You are not the first person to ask this question, which is A.J. Brown or Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I would go Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would. I don't feel good saying that. Honestly, I think I have a little throw up in my mouth just saying it out loud. Amon-Ra St. Brown over A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown has a higher ceiling than Amon-Ra St. Brown. He does, but Amon-Ra St. Brown has seen at least 11 targets in 3 straight games now. He's safer than A.J. Brown. There's a chance A.J. Brown sees 5 targets tonight, and that's it. Like, we just don't know how much A.J. Brown's going to play. We don't. Sony or Jones? Got to be Ronald Jones. It's got to be Ronald Jones over Sony. By the way, I cannot believe Cam Akers is back. Like, I feel like the Rams are just trolling us. He came back from a torn Achilles in 5 months. That's a 12-month injury. It's like the worst injury in sports. I was worried he wasn't even going to be ready for training camp next season. He's back for the playoffs. I don't think Cam Akers, by the way, needs to be added in fantasy football. Really, I don't think this is relevant to fantasy that much because he's not gonna see any significant volume in the regular season, if any at all. But he's gonna be back for the playoffs. Like Cam Akers is gonna be playing in the playoffs. All right, we got a report here that might change my opinion on some things. NFL Network's Cameron Wolf reports a returning A.J. Brown, who was dealing with a chest injury, by the way, which I think is important to note because I don't think chest injuries, like when you come back from them, are not usually injuries that hold you back. A.J. Brown is expected to receive a full workload for Thursday evening's game against the 49ers. This is, quote unquote, as long as his conditioning through the game goes well. Per this report, Brown has, quote, looked good in practice and in warmups. It is impossible to argue with the final point, though, that the Titans offense desperately needed him and needs him back. Julio Jones is also active in this game. This is the first time they've both been active together since week 11. But his snaps are definitely going to be rationed. Like, you can't trust Julio Jones. You just can't trust Julio Jones. The Titans don't trust Julio Jones. You can't trust Julio Jones. The Titans are also down to the third string left tackle. But Brown's upside, guys, if he sees his full workload, you have to start him. This report makes me change my mind, honestly, about the Amon-Ra St. Brown over A.J. Brown. You got to start A.J. Brown. You got to start A.J. Brown. Just the chance that A.J. Brown sees a full workload in this game, you got to start A.J. Brown. And I feel like it's been a while for us to remember just how good A.J. Brown is. But, guys, a healthy A.J. Brown is a top 10 wide receiver in this league, and he might be top 5. And he was dealing with a chest injury. So really, like the only concern about A.J. Brown, it's not a risk of injury. It's a risk of condition. The last time A.J. Brown saw a full workload, was back in week 8. He played 88% of the snaps. He ran 31 routes, the second most he's ran all season. He saw 11 targets, which is tied for the most he saw all season. He turned that into 155 yards, a TD, 31 points. He was the number 1 overall receiver that week. That's the ceiling for A.J. Brown. That's his ceiling. His ceiling is 30 points and the number 1 overall receiver this week. So start him. Start A.J. Brown. We're putting him into must-start category after this report that he's expected to see a full workload. Guys, this is a must-win game for the Titans too. I'm starting A.J. Brown over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm starting A.J. Brown over Jeff Wilson. I'm starting A.J. Brown over Deontay Foreman. Wilson or Foreman for flex or bench both. James, you got to let me know who the third option is here if you're going to bench both. But personally, I think I like Wilson more than Foreman because Foreman's without a left tackle in this game. Basically, the Titans are playing without a left tackle. They're missing their top 2 left tackles, and they're underdogs. So yeah, I'm going Jeff Wilson over Foreman, but I would like to bench both. By the way, guys, we are live on YouTube and TikTok right now. Link to the YouTube live in the TikTok bio. And on the YouTube live, you can see my top 10 rankings, every position, and my pick against the spread tonight. Claypool, Gabriel Davis, or Galladay. Anthony, by the way, thanks for the gift. I really do appreciate that. We'll always try to get to the comments of the gifters. I really do appreciate it. Thank you all for tuning in, by the way. It's really tough to bench Gabe Davis right now. I think you go Gabe Davis. Guys, Gabriel Davis is winning fantasy leagues. Here we are in week 16, and Gabriel Davis is winning fantasy leagues. I think in 4 of the 9 best ball teams I have advancing to the semifinals, I have Gabe Davis, by the way. He's gotten over 11 points, 3 straight games. But in the 2 games since Emmanuel Sanders has been out, and we got to watch this part closely because Emmanuel Sanders might be back. And if he's back, it does change things, but Cole Beasley's also out this week. So I'm not too worried about Gabe Davis's role. He doesn't play much in the slot. But I think Emmanuel Sanders, Stephon Diggs could play in the slot if needed. Gabe Davis was the number 4 overall receiver last week. 85 yards, TD, 136 air yards. He played almost 90% of snaps. We were all over Gabe Davis, by the way. Played him in DraftKings and FanDuel, cashed with Gabe Davis. Yeah, I think you go Gabe Davis, especially if Manny Sanders isn't back. Thursday Night Football question. We got Jeff Wilson or Justin Jackson. Yeah, it's got to be Justin Jackson. It's got to be Justin Jackson. Honestly, it's not that close. It's really not that close, especially if it's a PPR league. It's not close at all. Can you rank these 4 running backs this week? Jeff Wilson, Deontay Foreman, Sony Michel, and Rashad Penny. Yeah, I told you guys all on this live stream on Thursday and Sunday that I thought Rashad Penny was a trap last week. I thought Rashad Penny was a trap last week, and I was all over Rashad Penny the week before when he broke out. We had Rashad Penny's prop. It was like 49 yards that week. He ended up going over 100, 120 yards. But that his big game, guys, it came against the Texans. The Texans have the worst run defense in the NFL, and he does not get to play the Texans every week. Last week he plays the Rams. Very different than the Texans. He only saw 11 carries, 44 total yards, under 7 points. Trap. Rashad Penny, trap. He's a trap, man. He's a trap, and he gets the Bears this week, who have been way worse against the pass than against the run. Trap. Let me go back to the question, though, because Jeff Wilson, I think, is also a trap. I think Deontay Foreman, also a trap. Honestly, I think it's Sony Michel. Who did the Rams get this week again? Yeah, the Rams are up against the Vikings. 3.5-point favorites in that game. I think it's Sony. To me, if I were to rank these guys, though, I'd probably say Sony Michel number 1, Jeff Wilson number 2, Foreman number 3, Rashad Penny number 4. That's how I think I would rank them. But I honestly think all of these guys could be traps. You have to play Antonio Brown. Derek, you have to play Antonio Brown over Jeff Wilson. By the way, we're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. Link to the YouTube live in the TikTok bio. On the YouTube live, you got my top 10 rankings, every position, and my pick against the spread. And right now, and I can also pull up comments just like a tiny bit easier too. Why start Sony? Sony was the clear lead back last game. Let me pull up the numbers. But he was the clear lead back, and that's kind of what I expected. I saw it going either way, but I was leaning towards Sony getting more touches than Darrell Henderson based on how Sony played. And he's got the stronghold on the backfield. He saw a strong 18 carries. He went for 115 yards last week. It was against the Seahawks, which was a better matchup than what they have this week. But honestly, I just think that he has the best chance of a touchdown, given the matchups. I think they're all kind of traps, though. Should I start A.J. Brown? Expect a full load from A.J. Brown. Yeah, I saw that. Anthony, I saw that. You got to start A.J. Brown. I mean, just the fact that there's a chance that he sees a full workload, you got to start him. Again, the last time we saw A.J. Brown get a full load, he had 11 targets, 10 catches, 150 yards, and a touchdown, 30 points. He was the number 1 overall receiver that week. You got to start A.J. Brown. You got to take a risk. Guys, just take the risk. It's a risk. Pause. What's the pause? Hella pause. I don't get it. What am I missing? Am I just pausing? I don't understand. Thoughts on the AJ return? Yeah, getting a full load. He's getting a full load, guys. He's getting a full workload, according to NFL Network sources. And honestly, just the fact that there's a chance he gets a full workload tonight, you got to start him. I wouldn't start him over Madison. Don't start Madison. Don't start Madison. All right, my pick against the spread tonight. I'm not feeling super confident about this one. But I'm going with the Titans at +3.5. I do have 2 prop picks tonight that I'm riding, one of which I will share with you on this live stream in just a few minutes. I'm very transparent. No, you got to start Madison. Not why not Madison. Start Madison. Confident in AJ. I think that his ceiling is absolutely astronomical. I think his floor is low too. But the recent report is that he's going to see his full workload. So, yeah, I'm confident in his ceiling. You got to start. But my pick is the Titans +3.5 tonight. To me, this pick is more about them being 3.5-point underdogs at home with very good defense. And A.J. Brown's back. All right, I'm not getting the pause joke. I'm gonna have to ask some of my other creators if this is like something that's flying over my head. But you gotta start Antonio Brown over A.J. Brown. You gotta start Antonio Brown over A.J. Brown. You can't bench it. You just can't bench Antonio Brown. You can't bench him this week. Top 10 tight ends for this week. Yeah, if you come to the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. You can see my top 10 rankings, every single position. And here's my top 10 rankings at tight end. George Kittle's number 1, by the way. George Kittle's going tonight. Waddle, Hollywood, Kirk need 2. Yeah, you gotta have to bench Hollywood Brown. I feel like you kind of have to bench Hollywood Brown. Are we really going to trust Tyler Huntley in the semifinals of the fantasy football playoffs? Can we really trust Tyler Huntley throwing the ball? Because it seems like that's where it's trending. It seems like Huntley's going to play one more game. He did throw for 215 yards, 2 TDs last game. He threw 40 times. But I don't have much trust in him. Is A.J. Brown safe to start? Safe is not the word I would use. It's quite the opposite. He's not safe, but he could also win you the week. Just like Travis Kelce won the week for people on Thursday night last week. Just like Tyreek Hill won the week for people last week on Thursday night. A.J. Brown could do that. So while he's not safe, you kind of have to start. Wilson Jr., Clyde, or Connor. Yeah, James Conner is super, super sketchy this week. Super sketchy. Absolute trap this week. He might not play. He picked up a different injury. He's been dealing with injuries, but he picked up another injury, a heel injury. I'm not going to be surprised at all that even when he plays, Chase Edmonds outscores him this week. Hollywood Brown put up 14 points last week. He had 14 targets, 10 catches, only 43 yards. The clear go-to target for Tyler Huntley, man. But he gets the Bengals this week. The Bengals have been pretty good against receivers. They've been pretty good against the receivers this season. I would go A.J. Brown over Marquise Brown. I would go with A.J. Brown over Marquise Brown. Christian Kirk or Devontae Parker. Yeah, you got to have to start Devontae Parker too. Amon-Ra St. Brown or Marquise Brown. Yeah, guys. Amon-Ra St. Brown's really he's tough to bench. Top defense. Yeah, I mean, go add the Dolphins defense. Right? Isn't that who the Saints are playing? I'm pretty sure the Saints get. I think they pulled the spread. Yeah, the Dolphins are playing the Saints. Get the Dolphins defense. The Saints are playing a quarterback that you probably have never heard about before. Ian Book is starting at quarterback for the Saints. Guys, I mean, can you guys just pour one out for Saints fans really quickly? By the way, we're live on YouTube and TikTok. If you come to the TikTok live, come to the YouTube live, excuse me, you can see my top 10 rankings, every position. If you are watching live on YouTube or TikTok, make sure you hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button. But guys, can we pour one out for Saints fans really quickly? I mean, they went from the most accurate quarterback of all time in Drew Brees, and now we're in week 16, and they have now seen Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill, and now Ian Book throw passes this season. Ian Book, I think he's a rookie. It might be his second year. I think he's a rookie. He's not even 24. He's 23. He was a 4th-round pick out of Notre Dame. He was like incredibly inaccurate in college, like incredibly inaccurate. He is kind of fast. He's not as fast as Taysom Hill, but he's fast. So he's like even take Taysom Hill, picture like a worse version of Taysom Hill, and I think that's what he's going to be. Ian Book. I think he's a poor man's Taysom Hill. Oh man, like pour one out for Saints fans, guys. Seriously, it's a long road ahead for the Saints. Pick 2: Antonio Brown, A.J. Brown, Lockett, T. Higgins. I really don't want to bench T. Higgins this week. I don't want to bench T. Higgins, and I'm not benching Antonio Brown. I'm seeing way too many Antonio Brown comments. You don't bench Antonio Brown. Don't bench him. All reports are that he's fully healthy. Chris Godwin is out. Mike Evans is trending towards not playing, but he might play too. If Mike Evans plays, I would go with T. Higgins. Is Lockett's back off the COVID list, I think, right? He was on the COVID list, now he's back off the COVID list. I would probably go Higgins and Lockett here. I think I would go Higgins and Lockett. I don't think I'd play A.J. Brown in this situation. Foreman or Carter? Guys, Michael Carter absolutely sailed last week. Brutal. It was a bad week for Michael Carter. And I don't know what to think about this Jets-Jaguars game this week because it just feels like both teams are so incentivized to lose. And I hate those games. I hate those games for fantasy. Like the Jets and the Jaguars both should lose this week. They're both battling for the number 1 overall pick. Why would they want to win this game? And in that context, why would the Jets feed Michael Carter in this game, who's by far the most talented back they have? Michael Carter played a little over half the snaps last week for the Jets. He only saw 8 carries, 2 targets. He only had 1 catch. He had a total of 20 yards. He had 3 points. So even in a good matchup against the Jaguars, I feel like you can't trust him. I feel like you can't trust him. A.J. Brown or C.D. Lamb? Yeah, I'm going C.D. Lamb. Is Madison starting? Yes. Start Madison. He's starting unless he gets on the COVID list, which is, of course, possible. But at this point, he's not. I've got Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, C.D. Lamb, Antonio Brown starting. Would you switch any of them for A.J. Brown? No, I don't think I would. I don't think I would change any of those guys for A.J. Brown. Again, I think A.J. Brown could win weeks this week, but his floor is just so much lower than all these other guys. And I know Jamar Chase has been struggling recently, but the last time Jamar Chase played against – the last time Jamar Chase played against the Ravens, it was pretty bad for the Ravens. He went over 30 points. He had 8 catches, 200 yards, and a touchdown. 34 points. He was the number 2 overall receiver that week. You got to start Jamar Chase this week. Is Kelsey going to play? Probably not. Probably not. It doesn't look like it. It's possible. They changed the COVID rules a little bit in the NFL. So if you are vaccinated in the NFL and you don't have symptoms and then you test negative, you can return pretty quickly. But I wouldn't bank on that being the case. Is Jeff Wilson a start? Nope. Jeff Wilson a trap. Deontay Foreman a trap tonight. Both guys are traps. Both running backs are traps. Like if they don't score a touchdown, they're probably scoring under 8 points. This is a close one from Hunter, asking about Justin Jackson or A.J. Brown. I see another person in the chat asking about Justin Jackson or Melvin Gordon. A lot of Justin Jackson questions. I'm definitely starting Justin Jackson over Melvin Gordon. A.J. Brown's a bit closer, but I think I would go Justin Jackson over A.J. Brown as well because, Alex, Austin Eckler's on the COVID list. Austin Eckler's not playing this week. He said it himself in an interview that he would go add Justin Jackson in fantasy. I mean, that's the number 1 person I'm trusting with that advice. Austin Eckler himself said in an interview that he would go add Justin Jackson off the waiver wire in his fantasy. Like he already did. He said in his fantasy league, he went and added Justin Jackson, and he's riding Justin Jackson this week because Austin Eckler loves fantasy. And so, yeah, you got to start Justin Jackson this week. You got to start. Again, the report about A.J. Brown, I'm still seeing a lot of A.J. Brown questions. I would not start Justin Jackson over Madison, by the way. So I just saw that in the TikTok live. You got to start Madison over Jackson. If you come to the YouTube live, link is in the TikTok bio. We're live on YouTube and TikTok right now. And in the YouTube live, you can see my top 10 rankings, every position. And in those top 10 rankings at the running back position, you can see I have Alexander Madison in the top 10. I saw someone else ask, by the way, we know Ian Book is starting for the Saints. I still have Alvin Kamara, my number 3 overall running back, but you still kind of have to start him. He's still going to get 20-plus touches. With the talent he has, you got to start him. But Eckler's not playing. So you got to start Justin Jackson. Amon-Ra St. Brown or A.J. Brown? I guess that's the question of the night. And based on the report coming out of NFL Network that A.J. Brown's set to see a full workload tonight, you need to start A.J. Brown over Amon-Ra St. Brown. I know Amon-Ra St. Brown's been cooking. He's had at least 11 targets in 3 straight games. He's gone over 25 points or 22 points in 2 of his last 3. He's gone over 15 points in 3 straight games. But I'm not starting him over A.J. Brown this week. I refuse to do it. because A.J. Brown's ceiling is the number 1 overall receiver this week. I'm playing A.J. Brown over Michael Gallup. I'm going to play A.J. Brown over Darnell Mooney. I'm going to play A.J. Brown over Deontay Johnson. I don't know about that one, man. I don't know about that one. Deontay Johnson was not good last week in what should have been a good matchup against the Titans. It should have been a good matchup for Deontay Johnson. And he still almost scored 10 points. He still has gone over 10 points. He had 9.8. It was his first game all season under 10 points. He only saw 5 targets too. I think it was his 3rd game all year under double-digit targets. I'm not benching Deontay Johnson. No, I'm not benching Deontay Johnson. Renfrow or A.J. Brown. Renfrow also is coming off a pretty down week, but it looks like Darren Waller is going to be out again, which makes Renfrow a pretty solid wide receiver too still. It does. He's up against the Broncos. They've been pretty average this season against slot receivers. A.J. Brown versus Renfrow is close. What happens with Dalvin and Eckler? Both Dalvin and Eckler are on the COVID list, so they're both going to miss this week. It sounds like Dalvin Cook is unvaccinated, which means he's probably going to miss the next week too. So Dalvin Cook's fantasy season is done. Eckler, I don't know if he's going to be done or not, but he's likely out this week, or almost definitely out this week. About to be joined by Titans.WalterPicks on the TikTok Live for a few moments here. Jack, what's going on, man?
Hey, Sam, I made it. What's up? Big game.
What are you thinking tonight, man? I'm taking the Titans plus 3.5. How are you feeling?
I also like them at plus 3.5 as well. Did not like it when it was 3, and I'm pumped to see A.J. Brown play again.
Dude, he is back, and I don't know if you saw this report just recently from NFL Network.
Full workload.
A full load for A.J. Brown tonight, man. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, this is the ceiling here for A.J. Brown's really high. The 49ers secondary is not that scary.
No, not good.
And Julio Jones is set to play today. Obviously, like we can't expect that much from the corpse of Julio Jones at this point, but just the fact that both of them are going to be out there is pretty exciting.
It's so exciting. I wish they had the King back there as well to see him in full workload again. Maybe in the playoffs.
Yeah, this game has massive playoff implications for the Titans, right?
Both conferences.
Yeah. I mean, the 49ers conference has been just neck and neck from really the start of the season. The 49ers are 8-6, and they're in 3rd in their conference. If they lose, they're basically done.
Oh, yeah. That wild card race is wild.
The Titans are still in 1st, though. Even if they lose, the Colts have a tough matchup.
Got a tough game. They play Arizona.
Yeah, the Colts have a tough matchup. Arizona's only 1-point favorites in that game. So our Titans.WalterPicks creator, Jack, if you're in the YouTube Live, you should be able to hear him. He's taking the Titans plus 3.5 tonight too, but do you think they will win the game?
I really do want to say yes, but I don't think so. I don't think AJ is going to be like enough right off the bat, and San Francisco's rolling. Like, they're hot.
Yeah, the 49ers have been rolling. They have been rolling.
Yeah.
And the last game against the Steelers was a bad look for the Titans offense.
It was awful.
It was a good look for the Titans defense, though. I feel like that's the hope for the Titans in this game.
Yeah. I don't know though. Like Samuel, Kittle, Ayuk, that is just tough to stop with a below average defense.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel, man, is a guy that I refuse to bet against. And to me,
absolutely.
He is really one of the most talented players in the league. He's basically a lock in fantasy for at least 10 points, and he could easily go for 30.
Absolutely.
Easily go for 30 tonight. Like, he could easily go 100 yards, 2 TDs, like it's nothing. Like, he is just insane.
Yeah, before you let out the player prop pick on WalterPicks of Deebo, I bet it like an hour before.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I wonder if Sam likes that pick.
Yeah.
And I already put it in for $5 and then put him in a parlay.
Yeah, there you go, guys. The free prop pick of the night is over on Underdog Fantasy. If you have never used Underdog, use the code Walter when you sign up. But they got his total yardage at 83.5.
That's so low. He's going to get at least 100.
He's averaging over 100 yards a game this season. And when you look at the games where he's been healthy, he's averaging closer to 110 yards a game. And yeah, he hasn't gone under 10 points a single time this entire season. And he's played games where he was battling through injuries too. So yeah, I mean, Deebo Samuel is just an absolute tank. he's going to be, in my eyes, back into the first round pick next season in fantasy.
Oh yeah, him, Adams, and Cup are like the top 3 probably.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I think that the 2 traps for me tonight in fantasy, for those making semifinal decisions, it's Deontay Foreman and Jeff Wilson. I'm pretty nervous about both those guys tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, you don't love starting either of them. I unfortunately had the pleasure of starting Jeff Wilson almost every game in the WalterPicks 32-person league. He bailed me out last week when I won in the toilet bowl, but I'm not confident in starting either running back for their team today.
How about this question I'm getting in the YouTube live? So
yeah,
we're getting a lot of questions about Brandon Ayuka, the Bazooka.
Yeah, I have 2 on my comments.
He has really picked it up from his like he started the season. He was on the waiver wires in a lot of leagues. That's how bad he was at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And he really he's taken a complete 180 really since week 8. He's played at least 90% of the snaps in almost every game. He played every single snap last week for the 49ers. Yeah. That's the first time that's happened all season. But he had his worst yardage day in over a month. He only had 36 yards. It went under 5 points. But he was also up against A.J. Terrell. So how are you feeling about him this week?
I'm a lot more confident starting him this week against the Titans defense. I don't know if I am locking him into lineups, though, because Kittle and Samuel are pretty much the 1-2 targets for Jimmy. And if you've got anyone else as a wide receiver, too, I would prefer them probably over Ayuk. But with all the COVID injuries and, like, people getting on the list, Ayuk's not a bad play.
So what about Amon-Ra St. Brown, though? Because he's the other guy I'm seeing.
I would say St. Brown. I think I got that exact question on my last video. I'm all in on St. Brown against Atlanta.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is come out of nowhere. It feels like he's come out of absolutely nowhere because he's played most of the season. I think he dealt with injuries at some point. It feels like all the Lions receivers did at some point. Actually, almost all of my best ball teams that have advanced have Amon-Ra St. Brown on them because I drafted all of the Lions receivers in like the last 3 rounds. But the Amon-Ra St. Brown hype is crazy. Like people are considering Amon-Ra St. Brown over AJ Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown over Hunter Renfrow. Amon-Ra St. Brown over Brandon Ayuk. Personally, I would be playing all 3 of those guys over Amon-Ra St. Brown. But I understand the hype. Like he's seen at least 11 targets in 3 straight games. He has a pretty safe floor. He's gone over 70 yards through all 3 of those games.
Who else are they going to throw to? I like the floor. I have him in my dynasty league in the WalterPicks, so I've been starting him pretty often. Yeah, good dynasty player.
Yeah, I like that. So I personally, I'm not playing him over my studs, but I understand the floor about Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jack, thanks for hopping on. I got to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. But yeah, I got Titans plus 3.5 tonight too, and I don't want to be benching AJ Brown either.
No, definitely not. I literally just put him in my lineup 2 minutes ago. Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a good one, Jack. That was Titans.WalterPicks creator, Jack. I want to get back to some of the comments now. Jack, thanks for hopping on. Do appreciate the time. You got to start A.J. Brown tonight. I think that just confirmed it even more. Our Titans.WalterPicks creator, who's more in tune with the Titans than anyone that I'm personally in contact with, said it himself. I mean, we're expecting a full workload from A.J. Brown tonight. The ceiling is too high. The ceiling is too high not to start A.J. Brown. And yeah, you got to start A.J. Brown over Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got to start A.J. Brown over Russell Gage. Is he reliable? Is A.J. Brown reliable? It's not the word I would use. It's not the word. I wouldn't say he's safe. I wouldn't say he's reliable, but the upside is there. The ceiling for him to win you the entire week on Thursday night is there. That's the ceiling. There's very few players with that type of ceiling, and A.J. Brown has the ceiling. The last full game he played, he did exactly that. Came against week 8 against the Colts, who actually have a comparably bad defense to the 49ers. And in that game, 10 catches, 155 yards, 31 points. He scored a touchdown too. He was the number 1 overall receiver. Justin Jackson or Josh Jacobs. Yeah, I think I would go Josh Jacobs over Jackson. Dak Prescott or Jalen Hurts. It's very tough to bench Jalen Hurts after what he did last week. Guys, Jalen Hurts is winning fantasy leagues. He's winning fantasy leagues. He's my number 3 QB this week. Kittle or Andrews? You got to start Kittle. You got to start Kittle tonight. No excuse to bench and Kittle. All right, I got 6 minutes left. I'm going to go rapid fire in the comment section, and I'm going to be only on YouTube Live for the next 6 minutes. Link to the YouTube Live is in the TikTok bio if you're trying to get your questions answered. I would definitely be playing A.J. Brown over Jalen Waddle, though. If you didn't get your question answered, you can also get it answered if it's a start-sit question in the WalterPicks app. Spent over 2 years of my life building this app. It answers or gives you the info you need to answer your own start-sit decisions. Gives you machine learning projections and boom and bust probabilities. So check out the app. It's completely free to download. Link is in the TikTok bio. Link is in the YouTube description. And we're giving away basically unlimited start-sit decisions right now in the fantasy playoffs. Or come to the YouTube Live. Again, link to that is also in the TikTok bio. If not, guys, thanks for tuning in and have a good night. All right, we are live just on the YouTube, but the best part of the stream. This is what we like to call the witching hour of the WalterPicks YouTube Live. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Seriously, I appreciate the time. Hit that like button and that subscribe button if you haven't yet. But yeah, I'm starting A.J. Brown. Waiver wire receivers, I had Godwin. Yeah. Go see if Josh Reynolds is available, if he's still available. Gabe Davis, if he's still available. I mean, these guys are basically wide receiver 2s now. But there's also probably going to be some valuable Buccaneers wide receivers. Maybe Tyler Johnson is the best one. How do you feel about Ronald Jones? Yeah, he's a solid running back too. And all of the things that the coaches are saying about him too are a very good sign for him. I think Ronald Jones has a pretty clear path to 20 touches this week. I know they just signed Le'Veon Bell, but he's literally just signed. And guys, we confirmed Le'Veon Bell was washed like over a year and a half ago now. Le'Veon Bell is washed. He's been washed. So yeah, I think Ronald Jones is a solid running back too. Thanks, Kylo, man. Thanks for tuning in. Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. Don't bench Justin Jefferson. Don't bench Justin Jefferson. Jimmy G or Cousins. Yeah, we didn't talk much about the quarterbacks tonight because not that many people are considering starting them. I don't hate Jimmy G in this game. I don't. I think he throws at least 2 touchdowns in this game. And I don't hate Ryan Tannehill either. A.J. Brown's back, man. The 49ers secondary is the weakness of this defense. But Ryan Tannehill has been struggling of late. He's got 3 straight games under 200 yards. He hasn't thrown 2 touchdowns in over a month. So I like Jimmy G more. And I think I like Jimmy G more than Kirk Cousins. Let me double check with the Vikings. Yeah, the Vikings are up against the Rams, 3.5 point underdogs. I think I like Jimmy G more. Lockett, St. Brown, or Antonio Brown at flex. It's got to be AB. It has to be Antonio Brown. You got to start Antonio Brown. You just have to. With all the injuries for the Bucs, you got to start. This is the question of the night. A.J. Brown or St. Brown? It's A.J. Brown. It's A.J. Brown. It's A.J. Brown. It's A.J. Brown. Gerald Everett or Jared Cook? I'd probably rock with Gerald Everett over Jared Cook. Mike Williams or Gage? This one's very difficult because Russell Gage has kind of been balling out. He's kind of been balling out recently. But I actually think this could be a bounce back week for Mike Williams too. Justin Herbert's Walter's number 1 overall quarterback this week. He's my number 1 overall quarterback this week too. But guys, I think you got to rock with Russell Gage, man. He's gone over 22 points now, 2 of his last 3 games. By the way, one of those games, his last game against the 49ers. Against the 49ers last week, Russell Gage, 11 targets, 8 catches, 91 yards, TD. A.J. Brown could do that and more tonight. Easily. Guys, the 49ers, one of their top corners is Josh Norman. Josh Norman, 34-year-old Josh Norman, is one of the top corners for the 49ers. He's been torched this season. It's not the same Josh Norman we once knew. He's 34. But yeah, I think Russell Gage is a pretty safe bet. He's pretty similar, Dylan. He's a pretty similar option to Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is. The difference is Amon-Ra St. Brown gets to go against the Falcons secondary. Russell Gage gets to go against the Lions secondary. And neither of those are very scary. But the Falcons is worse. I think the Falcons secondary is worse. As long as he gets to avoid A.J. Terrell, which he probably will. The way that they've been using Russell Gage, it's very likely he'll avoid A.J. Terrell. Who, by the way, A.J. Terrell is who Brandon Ayuk was against last game. A.J. Terrell, by the way, I can't believe he didn't make the Pro Bowl. I can't believe A.J. Terrell and Cordell Patterson both didn't make the Pro Bowl. Absolutely astonishing. A.J. Terrell is a top 5 corner in the league, I would argue. But the Falcons as a whole, their secondary is trash. And that's good news for Russell Gage. The Lions as a whole, their secondary is, that's good news for Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Lions as a whole, their secondary is pretty trash too. But their run defense is even worse, which is not good news for Russell Gage. I think I would probably go Amon-Ra St. Brown over Gage. Mooney or Boyd? Yeah, Boyd popped off. last week, but I wouldn't expect that again. I would not expect that again. I don't think he's had back-to-back games like that this whole season. And the Bears are up against the Seahawks, 6.5-point underdogs. I think you rock with Darnell Mooney this week. Any more Thursday night questions? Want to make sure I get to the Thursday questions because, of course, I'll be live Sunday morning, as always this week, making sure we make the optimal start-sit decisions and we go win the fantasy football championship. This is what it's all about, guys. This is what the season has been all about. We got to go get these dubs. Deontay Johnson or Gronk? Bryson, man. We don't start two tight ends on this stream. We do not start two tight ends. Fantasy's hard enough as it is. Don't start two tight ends if you don't have to. Just start Deontay Johnson. Start Deontay Johnson. What's up, bro? Love your info and your app. Thanks, man. What do you think, Jeff Wilson? Solid play tonight? No, I don't think he is. I don't think he's – I think he's risky. Like, I think I'd probably still play him over Michael Carter, Joey, because I think Michael Carter's risky too. But Aaron, I think Jeff Wilson's a trap, and I think Deontay Foreman's a trap, and I think Jeff Wilson's better than Deontay Foreman tonight. But I'm nervous. I am nervous about Jeff Wilson. I am, and the reason I'm nervous about him is the Titans' run defense is good. They're very good. The single defense has allowed less points to the running back this season in fantasy than the Titans. And if you just look at run defense adjusted for strength of opponent, they're the second best run defense in the league, only after the Saints, who have had a historically good run defense over the last 2 years. So I'm nervous for Jeff Wilson, and I'm also nervous for him because if he doesn't score a touchdown, which he easily couldn't, he could easily not score a touchdown tonight. Deebo Samuel could easily steal that one touchdown. Deebo Samuel could also easily steal the targets out of the backfield and some of the carries. And if he doesn't score a touchdown, I think he goes under eight points. And I feel kind of similarly about Deontay Foreman. The 49ers run defense isn't quite as good as the Titans, but the Titans are also without their top 2 left tackles. So I'm nervous for both guys. I would be playing Sony Michel over Jeff Wilson. Thursday night, A.J. Brown, Brandon Ayuk, the Bazooka, Miles Sanders, OBJ, DK, pick 2. Yeah, I'm playing A.J. Brown in this one. I am. I'm playing A.J. Brown in this one. And the only reason I'm not going to take Miles Sanders here is because he's dealing with an injury, and we don't know if he's actually going to play or how much he's going to play. I would probably go with DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown. I think I would go with DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown, who you probably picked earliest anyway. I know they have not been balling recently, but that's who I would go with. I won't be surprised if at least one of them just goes absolutely off this week. Jimmy G or Tua. Yeah, Tua let us down like just a tiny bit last week. But he's up against the Saints. I think you go Jimmy G. I think you got to go Jimmy G. The Saints secondary doesn't scare me. But then last week, they just shut out the Buccaneers. I know the Bucs had a lot of injuries. I made a video about how shocking that was, though, still, this week on TikTok. I'm playing Jimmy G, Brett, over Tua. I think Jimmy G throws 2+ touchdowns tonight. Lamar, Mac Jones, or Jimmy G. Yeah, I don't think we can trust Lamar to play. So I'd probably be going Jimmy G. Mac Jones against the Bills, I mean, it's definitely possible he has a good game, but he seems pretty risky too. I think I would rock with Jimmy G in this one too. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Ayuk, Gage, Rojo. Why? Honestly, I think this one's Ronald Jones. I think it's Ronald Jones. I think he's the safest guy. Holden. For the last question of the night, then I got to wrap up. Pick 3, Mixon, Zeke, Saquon, Rojo, Madison, Jeff Wilson, non-PPR. Yeah, it can't be Jeff Wilson here. It's got to be Madison. It's got to be Saquon, and probably Mixon number 3. But we got to monitor that too because I think he's dealing with an injury as well. If Mixon ends up looking like he's going to be limited or he doesn't play at all, then I'd probably go Ronald Jones over Zeke. I'd go Ronald Jones over Zeke, and I'd go Ronald Jones over Jeff Wilson. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. I'll be back live, as always, Sunday morning. Good luck tonight. Remember, the free prop pick tonight is Deebo Samuel, over 83.5 total yards. And we are riding. Guys, you got to start A.J. Brown tonight. We got to start A.J. Brown tonight. You got to start him. Guys, good luck tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll be back.